Welcome back everyone. In this video, we are going to start setting up our scene in Unreal Engine. But before we do that, we have to export our meshes, alright? So it is possible for me to just select all my meshes and export it at once, okay? But I want to do it individually. So how I'll do that is that I'll start from the first. The first is the blackboard, okay? So I just select the blackboard and then I come to File, Export, and I export as FBX. And now I navigate to my project folder. That should be this, okay? And you remember I created a folder called UE. So I'm going to open this folder and yeah, I already have something here, but yours should be empty, okay? And I'm going to limit to selected objects. Now I'm going to name this blackboard, okay? And I'm going to export it. Now I can hide this. I'm going to do the same thing for all my objects here, okay? So I'm just going to do maybe the first 2 or 3 and I pause the video and I come back. So for the bookshelf, I select the bookshelf. I click on File and I export as FBX, okay? And this I call bookshelf. Yeah, and make sure limit to selected objects is active and I export, okay? I do the same thing for, okay, I can hide this. I do the same thing for the bulletin board. File, export, FBX, bulletin board, and I export. So I'm just gonna pause the video now and export all my meshes and come back. Note that you're not gonna export the floor underscore hide because this one has served this purpose already. You might as well delete it, but yeah, just leave it like that, okay? I'm only exporting the meshes that are on here right now. So I'm going to pause the recording now. I'm done exporting my FBX files, guys. So it's time to move to Unreal Engine. Welcome to Unreal Engine, guys. Now, this is our project screen, right? So we're going to create a new project from here. And to do that, you see, I just click on my games template and I'm going to use a blank template, okay? So I make sure blank is clicked on and I'm going to name my project maybe Classroom Tooth, okay? But yeah, feel free to name it wherever you want to name it. And I'm not going to need starter content, so I'm going to leave this unchecked, and I think that is all for now. So I'm going to create. So we are here now, and the next thing I want to do is to create a new level, okay? So I click on File and I click on New Level, and I'm going to create a basic level. So I click on Basic Level and I create. Now this is my basic level, right? The next thing to do is to save the level. So I come again and click on File and I save current level. Now I can name this Classroom and I save it. Okay, so it is saved now. The next thing I will do immediately is that you see I will click on my settings here and click on project settings. Now I come to maps and modes under project, okay, and you see that I have my editor startup map and my editor template map overrides. I'm going to set both of them to the classroom level that I just created. So I'm going to search for classroom and this is it. I'm going to search here again and this is it. This way, anytime I start up our project, it's going to open up the classroom level, okay? So I cancel this. Now the next thing I want to do is that I want to create folders, okay, because I want to keep my project organized. All right, so under the content folder, I'm going to create some folders here. Now to do that, you see, I just hover over my content browser and I right click, I create a new folder, okay? And these I can call assets because my 3D assets are going to be in this folder, all right? Now I can right click and create a new folder and I can call this one textures, okay, because my textures are going to be in this folder. Now I right click, I create another folder and call it materials. Okay, and this is where my materials are going to be. I'm going to right click again, create a new folder, and these I call level. Okay, yeah, I think these 4 folders will do for now. So for the level, I'm going to drag this classroom level into this folder and I just move it there. Okay, yeah, good. So the next thing for us to do is to import our FBX files, right? And to do that, I just double click on this assets folder to open it and I right click and import to game assets. Now I navigate to my project folder. It's on my desktop. So under the UE folder, these are my assets, right? So I'm going to Ctrl A to select everything and I'm going to open. Yeah, so now you have your import content settings, right? So there's some things I want to take note of here. So first of all, you see I will search for combine here and I'm going to make sure that combine static meshes is unchecked, okay, because I don't want my meshes to be combined. The next thing I'll search for is material, okay, and I want to make sure import materials is unchecked because I don't want to import materials. I'm going to leave it unchecked and that should be all for now. Okay, so I'm just going to import. Now my meshes are imported, right? So the next thing to do is to import our textures, okay? So I'm going to come to the textures folder and I can import it the same way, but one thing I can also do is drag and drop, okay? So I'm going to navigate to my textures folder. This is it here, right? And I'm going to drag all these folders and drop it in that folder. So you see, I just select all of them like this and I just drag and drop it here. Okay, now you see that my textures are being imported, okay? So I'm going to save my project once again. And the next thing I'll do is that I'll create a material, right? So I click on my materials folder. And for these, I also need two folders, okay? I'm going to right click and create a new folder. And this, I call it M underscore material. This is going to be for the master materials, okay? I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new folder. And this, I call it MI materials, okay? And this is going to be for the material instances, all right? So now here, I just right click and I click on material, okay? And this I call M material, okay? Now this is a master material, right? So I double click to open it. Now I'm going to set up my materials here, okay? And I can use any of the texture maps that I imported, but I'm going to use the floor, okay? So I'll just click on my textures and look for where the floor is. Now this is the floor, okay? I'm going to select all by hitting Ctrl A and I drag it and I drop it here in this material graph, okay? Now my texture samples are here, right? What I'm going to do next is that I'm going to start plugging each and every one of them to their corresponding input, okay? Like for example, this is the base color, so I'm going to plug it to the base color. This is the normal, so I'm going to plug it to the normal. And this is the metallic, right? I'm going to plug it to the metallic. This is the AO. I'm going to plug it to the ambient occlusion. And this is the roughness, so I'm going to plug it to the roughness. And well, maybe some organization would help. Yeah, just arrange everything nicely. This should be the third. I think this should be the last. I can create more space here and here. Exactly. Now the next thing I want to do is that I want to convert this texture sample to parameters, okay? Because this is going to be a master material and I'm going to create material instances. So to do that, I'm going to first of all start with the base color. So I click on the base color and I right click and I convert to parameter. And this I call it base color, okay? And for the metallic, I right click, I convert to parameter and I call it metallic. And yeah, I'm just going to do the same thing for all of them. This is the roughness, right click, convert to parameter, roughness. I'm going to do the same thing for the normal, right click, convert to parameter, normal. And for the AO, the same thing, AO. Okay, yeah, so this is our basic master material. The next thing I want to do is that I want to add in some controls here, okay? So, for example, I want to be able to control the level of roughness and maybe the intensity of the normal map and all that, but I'm going to start with the roughness for now, okay? So, you see, to do that, yeah, I'm just going to isolate this one a little bit and I'm going to add the scalar parameter, okay? And to add the scalar parameter, I just right click and search for scalar. Now you see there's a scalar parameter here, okay? So I'll just select it. And for this, I can call it roughness level, okay? Another way to add this scalar parameter is by hitting S and left clicking, okay? This is also a scalar parameter, all right? Now this I call roughness level, right? Now I'm going to multiply the roughness texture with the roughness level here, okay? And to do that, I'm going to add a multiply node. So you can also right click and search for multiply. But another way to add it is by clicking M and left clicking, okay? Now this is your multiply node, okay? So I'm going to plug in the RGB to the A input. I'm going to plug in this node output to the B input here, okay? And these I'm going to connect to the roughness. All right, and the default value is going to be set to 1. Yeah, so you see, I'm just going to leave it like this for now, okay? I can add in controls for the base color, for the normal and all that, but you see, I like the color that I used already, okay? I already set my color palette right from Substance Painter, so there's really no need to do this. And the normal too, I'm just going to watch the normal, but for now, I'm really not going to do anything for that. So you see, as easy as that, this is our master material, so I'm going to save this. All right, now I can cancel it. Now, you see, I'm going to click on my m.material, okay, and right click, and I'm going to click on create material instance. Now this becomes a material instance, okay, and for this I'm going to name it mi underscore floor, okay? So this is the material instance for the floor, all right? Now for the m.master, I'm going to drag it to this folder and move it there. And for the mi.floor, I'm going to drag it to this folder and just move it here, okay? Now I'm in this folder. So right away, I'm going to start dragging and dropping my meshes to my viewport, okay? And I said I'm going to start with the floor, okay? So I'm just going to drag and drop the floor. Now I really don't need this big mesh that we have here, so I'm going to select it. I'm going to delete it, okay? And yeah, this is my floor now. So I'm going to reset the location of this floor. So I click on this floor and you see on my details panel, on my location transform, you see there's an arrow here. As soon as I click on this arrow, it resets the location, okay? So this is the level or the origin point. Okay, now this is my floor as plain as it is right now. One thing I'll do is to hide the grid, because you see I really don't need grids here. So I'm just going to click on show here, and there's grid here, so I'm just going to uncheck the grids. Now the grids are hidden. Okay, now see what happens as soon as I drag and drop my mi_floor material. I'll just click, drag it, and I drop it here. Now, can you see? This is my floor texture with all the details, even though it's just a plane. All right, good. So immediately, I'm going to start duplicating this, my floor, to create the classroom. Okay, and remember my floor was also 2 by 3. So I'm going to duplicate. All right. And to do that, you see, I'm just going to press alternative and click on the direction I want to duplicate it to and drag. Okay, just place it nicely here. All right, one thing I can also do is to increase the grid snapping. All right, so it's set to 10. Yeah, I can set it to 100. All right, now I'm going to select these two and I duplicate it towards the other direction. So alternative towards the y-axis this time around. Yeah, and this should do. Okay, and one more time. Yeah, and just like that, we have our floor. Okay, this is it, and you see how good this thing looks. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop on my assets, okay, and give them materials and set up my entire classroom. So the next thing I want to drag and drop are the walls, obviously, okay. So the wall door, the wall plane, and the wall window. Okay, let me see. Now for the textures, right, I just click on my mi materials, and for the mi floor, that's the material instance for the floor, I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, and this I'm going to call it mi walls. Okay, and I'm going to double click to open it. So you see, this is the material instance. Now it's different from the material graph that we have. Okay, so immediately I'm going to click on my global texture parameter values. Okay, just click on the drop down and I make sure I check all the material instances that we have here, and I'm going to replace it with the textures for the walls. So this is the walls, right? This is the walls ambient occlusion. Just going to drag it and place it here. This is the walls base color. Just drag and place it here. The walls metallic, drag, place it here. The walls normal, drag and place it here. The walls roughness, I'll do the same thing. Okay, now I save this. All right, good. Now I can just drag and drop over the meshes, right? Just drag and drop this material instance to give it the material nicely. Okay, yeah, so now I'm going to start placing my wall window. Okay, so for this I also reset the location. Now I rotate it nicely like that. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate it that side nicely. Okay, aha, this is good. Now next is my wall plane. Okay, for this I also reset the location, and I'm going to move it up to the front of the class, and this is the front of the class, right? Exactly. So now I also duplicate this. Ooh, just place it nicely here. And now the wall door. Okay, and this I just also place it nicely and I rotate it. All right, good. Now every other wall is going to be the plain wall, so I just duplicate it and place it nicely. As easy as that. Okay, yeah, aha, like that. Just duplicating it, placing it nicely. So we have our walls, guys. The next thing I want to do is the ceiling. Okay, so I come to my assets, and now for my ceiling I just drag it and drop it. Okay, now I just drag it up. Well, first of all, maybe just reset the location and just drag it up to its position. Okay, exactly. Now it's here. So I create a new material for the ceiling. Okay, I just duplicate this and call it mi_ceiling. Now I open it and I replace the materials here with the ceiling materials. Okay, so I come to my content drawer and I look for the ceiling, and this is it. Okay, the AO, I'm going to replace it with the AO, the base color with the base color, the metallic with the metallic, the normal with the normal, and the roughness with the roughness. Now I save this. All right, now I'm going to just drag it and drop it here. Exactly, so this is our slim material now. So I'm going to duplicate and fill up our classroom. So this is it, guys. Now it is really the same process for all our other assets, right? So in order for this video not to be long, I'm going to pause the recording now, and all you have to do is to drag in and drop in your assets and create materials for those assets, right? And just assign the materials accordingly. I'm going to pause the recording now, and I'm going to come back when I'm done doing that. Okay, so I'm here now, and I've dragged in and dropped in all my meshes, right? And I've gone ahead and I've created materials for each and every object here. Okay, so the next thing to do is just to drag these materials and drop it on the respective objects. Okay, so for example, this mi desk wood, okay, I know it's going to be applied to the teacher's desk, and you see, just like that. All right, and the bookshelf, okay, it's going to be applied to the bookshelf. So I just drag and drop. Okay, Now there are some objects here that have more than one material slot. Okay, for example, the desk and the chair, they have three material slots. Okay, now to apply these materials, you see I come to my details panel here and I scroll down. Now you see I have three material slots here. There's the desk wood, the desk metal, and the desk plastic, right? So you see I just select the desk wood. This is it. Okay, just drag it and drop in here. Okay, and the desk metal, this is it. Okay, I just drag it and drop it here. Now another way to do it is that, you see, for my desk plastic, instead of dragging and dropping, I just select the desk plastic. Okay, and I click on this arrow here and it does the same thing. Okay, so I'm still going to pause the video again and I'm going to apply all the materials and I come back. Okay, now I'm back. So I've applied all my materials. Okay, and I've gone ahead and I've arranged my chairs and desks. Okay, and this looks good, but you see that we have a few problems. Okay, the first problem you can see is on the wall here we have some shadows, and these shadows are the shadows of the ceiling. At the moment my material is being applied on one side. You see that there's no material here, right? We are going to fix that. Another problem we have is that on the walls you can see this weird tiling we have here. Okay, we're also going to fix this, and here you see there are some gaps here as well. All right, we're going to fix this now. So let's start with the weird shadows that we have here. Now to fix this, you see, all you have to do is to go to your master material, right? That is this. And so I open it and I make sure that I select the result node. Okay, and I click on two-sided. That's all. Now I save it. Okay, and now you see that that fixes that issue. Okay, and now when I look from up here, you see that the material is being applied on this side. All right, so the next thing for us to fix is the gaps that we have here. All right, and to fix that, you see, first of all, I'm going to duplicate my floor and I'm going to tile it just where the gap is nicely here. Right, good. Now I'm going to cut this side out using the boolean. Okay, now you see I can come to my modeling mode. All right, and now I'm going to add in a cube. So I click on this quickly add to project and shapes, and I just drag in a cube here. All right, now I place in my cube nicely. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to scale in the cube, right? Because I'm going to use the cube as a cutter to cut my floor, right? So I just scale it up like this, and yeah, scale it on this axis too, and maybe I can reduce my snapping or maybe even disable it. Yeah, exactly. Now this is good. I'm going to scale it up more, okay, so that it covers the entire cube. And now I move it this side a bit. Okay, good. Let me confirm it's covered exactly. Now I select my cube. Well, my cube is already selected. Okay, I'm going to hit shift and select my floor. Oopsie, I'm selecting the wall, so I'm going to undo that. Shift and select my floor. Okay, now you see I'm going to click on model here and boolean. You see, at the moment my operation is set to different a minus b. A is the object that was selected first, and that's the cube, right? And b, the object that selected second, and that's the floor. Okay, so what we want is different b minus a. All right, and now we accept. So this is it, guys. You see we have instantly fixed that issue. Now the next thing is to just duplicate it and place it nicely. So I just do that now. Okay, and this as well. Yeah, so we have fixed that, right? And yeah, we are going to do pretty much the same thing for the ceiling. All right, so for the ceiling, I just select one of it, I duplicate it and place it nicely here. All right, I'm still in my modeling mode, so I just drag in the cube as well. Shapes, cube, just drag in the cube. Okay, and yeah, just move it in place, scale it till it covers the part that you want to cut, like this. Okay, and yeah, this looks good. Yeah, so now my cube is selected already. I'm going to hit shift and select my ceiling. All right, boolean difference b minus a, and I accept. All right, as easy as that. Now I come back to my selection mode and I just have to duplicate and place it nicely on one more here. Okay, now coming back to my classroom scene, you see that instantly I fixed that issue. Right, now the next issue for us to fix is this tiling that we have here, and now this tiling is caused by the textures in Substance Painter. You see, the things that the textures are really not tileable. Okay, so to fix this, I'm going to go into Substance Painter. Now I'm here in Substance Painter, right, and that issue is caused by the surface depth. Okay, that's this particular one that we have here. Okay, now what I want to do instantly is that I want to add in a paint layer. Okay, so I just click on this icon here and add in a paint layer. All right, and I'm going to brush off some of those depths. All right, and to do that, you see, I'm going to select a soft brush, basic soft brush. All right, and I'm going to make sure my color is set to black. So I just hit X. All right, now I just painting some of the depths off those sides. Okay, that's just all I'm doing, painting off the dirt off the side. I'm gonna do it for all the sides, do it for here and here as well, and maybe here too. Well, obviously there too. Okay, yeah, I think that should be okay. So another thing I want to do is that I want to reduce the depth level. Okay, so you see, I just come to my mask editor and I reduce the global balance. Maybe the value of 0.15 will do. All right, yeah, so this will do. So now I just export the textures again. So I just file, export textures, and I believe everything is as it should be. So I just export. Now I'm done exporting, so I come back to Unreal Engine and I'm going to import the textures. Okay, so I just navigate to my walls, select all the textures, right click, and I re-import. So let's see if that fixes the issue. Yeah, you can see that we no longer have those weird tiling, right? So this is it, guys. Now I save my project. Another thing that I want to do is that, you see, I want to delete all this lighting because I haven't reached my lighting stage yet. Okay, so there's really no need for all this lighting. All right, so I'm gonna select the lighting from my outliner. I'm really just gonna delete all the lights here. Okay, so I'm just gonna select all of them and delete. For this level, the only light I need is a rect light. Okay, so I just add in a rect light. This is a rect light. I just drag it and drop it here. Okay, now I just position it nicely, right? Just move it up and move it to the center of my scene. Okay, drag it up. Yeah, now I rotate it nicely. Yeah, I'm gonna reduce this snapping a lot. Okay, and I'm gonna move it up. Yeah, and for the intensity, how about 2? Yeah, 2 is not bad. Okay, the other thing I want to do is that I want to increase the source width and the source length. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to work with this for now till I reach the lighting stage. Okay, one other thing I will do is that I'm going to organize my outliner too. Okay, you see, at the moment my objects are just everywhere. All right, now for this folder, well, it's called lighting. I just renamed it to asset. Okay, so I just hit right click and edit and rename. Okay, it was called lighting before, but I renamed it to assets. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select all my assets. All right, and I'm going to drag them into this folder. Okay, now all my assets are in this folder. All right, so when I start to add lighting, I'm going to add lights to their own folder too. All right, so I just right click and create a folder. You see this folder, I call it lighting. Well, but this is going to be empty for now. I have a rect light, even though I'm going to delete this. I also have a player start. Wow, so for these two, well, I can just move them out and move to, maybe I'll just move them to the lighting folder, right? And the player start, I really don't need it, so I'm just going to delete the player start. So yeah, this is where we are now. The next thing to do is to add props. Okay, we are done with our basic modeling. Our classroom is looking promising at this point. Okay, but you see, it's really empty. There are no books in this class. There's really nothing in this class aside the basic furniture on the walls, right? So now it's the same cycle. Okay, we go into Blender, we model our props, we go into Substance Painter, we texture them, we come here to Unreal Engine and we place them nicely. All right, so we are going to start modeling our props in the next video. See you then.